I just realized my background was popping up the whole time. That's embarrassing. Oh well. Maybe you guys didn't notice.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. I'm Steph. I hope you enjoy this video and I hope you choose to subscribe at the end of it. I am going to be doing a review today on an eyeshadow palette that has gotten quite the buzz recently, and it is on the Kat Von D Serpentina eyeshadow palette. A lot of people have mixed reviews on this palette. I have heard good things, I have heard bad things. You will find out today if I like it or I hate it. So I figured a lot of you guys are just going to want to see the swatches, so we're going to start off with the swatches first, and then you can stay tuned until the end of the video to figure out what I think of the palette. Also, if you are interested, I have done a tutorial on this look that I am wearing on my face right now, and that video will be up after this one. I mean, I'm kind of biased, but I do really like it. And I did take inspiration for the lips from her ad and the promo picture that went along with the ads for this palette. So I really do like the way this turned out, and if you guys want to see how I created it, like I said, that video will be coming shortly, and when it does go up, I will link it in the description box below. So you can check that out and see how I created this look. So before I get into the swatches, I will just show you guys the palette. I really do like the packaging. And you have the palette opens up like this. I'm going to go into my full thoughts on the packaging and the eyeshadows later on, but I'm just showing you guys in case you haven't seen it. But unless you live under a rock, I'm pretty sure you've already seen a bunch of videos. So these are the colors you get, and you do get a loose pigment, which I will talk about later. So that is the packaging. It's kind of a thicker box, it's cardboard, and we will get into that a little further on, but just in case you haven't seen the palette, I just wanted to introduce you to it. So like I said, we're going to start off with the swatches, and then we will go on to my thoughts on this palette. So on my left arm, I am going to do finger swatches, dry with no base, and on my right arm, I am going to put a base of foundation on and do brush swatches. And the reason why I am not doing dry brush swatches is because, quite frankly, I don't know many people nowadays who use eyeshadows without primers or bases or some kind of base on their eye. So doing a dry brush swatch I don't feel is a true representation of how they are going to perform on the eyes when you are using them, because if you're using them with primer, a dry brush swatch isn't really going to show you the true pigmentation you'll get. So I have played around with these eyeshadows. I do know the pigmentation you get on the eye, and I will talk about that further in the video. But we're going to compare the finger swatches to the brush swatches and see if they perform the same either way. Ankh, Queen, Hieroglyph, Nile, Scarab, and then Venom. So these are the pressed eyeshadows. She also included a loose pigment in this palette, so we're going to go ahead and swatch that. So these are all the finger swatches. Now I'm going to do brush swatches. Like I said, I'm going to put foundation on my arm, do some brush swatches, and then show you the comparison of the two. It would take too long if I did the brush swatches live, so we will just, we'll skip over that, and the next time you see me, I will have both arms with an array of swatches. Okay, so I have just finished all of the brush swatches. So, I will show you guys now the two arms. Okay, the brush swatches were kind of inconvenient, but you can see I took the Sigma eye shading E55 and I used it for every single eyeshadow. The mattes, all the shimmers, and the loose pigment. I didn't foil any of the eyeshadows, including the loose pigment. I did nothing. I swiped 3 times in the pan, yeah, and then 3 times on my arm. And that was all I did. As you can see, the finger swatches are quite true to how they perform, and I'm sorry about how I swatched on this arm, but these are all the brush swatches and these are all the finger swatches. You can see, how about I do it like this? No, that won't even work. Okay, I'm horrible at this. You can see that most of them perform the same either way. Even here, Venom does not swatch well with the finger dry. It doesn't even swatch well with a base. It looks very muddy and patchy. It skips a lot. So Venom is not my favorite color. Ankh, you can see how much fallout you get with that one. I even blew it away and it's smudged everywhere. So Ankh is a troubled one. And then Prophet's down here, whereas here I have it up here. But Prophet looks pretty okay without foiling it and without adding any mixing medium or Fix Plus or setting spray. So I do think Prophet is a decent loose pigment. For the most part, most of them perform well, or at least perform very similar to how they perform finger swatched. Blood Milk looks a little better finger swatched than with a brush. It's very patchy with a brush. So the two mattes in this palette are not my favorite, and they are not ones that I would lean towards and gravitate towards. I have better reds in my collection, and I have better purples in my collection. So the real reason why I bought these or this palette was for these shimmery eyeshadows, especially Scarab. Like I told you guys, that is my favorite color in the entire palette, but you can see that there isn't much of a difference for most of them on how they perform finger swatched and brush swatched. I feel like they perform consistently either way, so that's a plus, because sometimes shadows swatch really well with the fingers and then they pretty much suck when you use them on the eye with a brush. Now that we've compared all of the swatches, we've seen how they perform swatched, I'm going to talk about my experience with these eyeshadows, how they perform on my eyes, and then my overall thoughts on everything from packaging to pigmentation to color selection, all that stuff. I personally have heard so many things said about this palette that I feel like personally are irrelevant to the type of product it is, okay? This is a Kat Von D product. Kat Von D Cosmetics is known for paying a lot of attention to their packaging because Kat Von D, quite frankly, is an artist. She is very artsy, she's artistic, she takes pride in the presentation of her products and the way they look and the aesthetic appeal and the artwork that goes into it. And she had a vision, she had an inspiration, and she wanted to bring it to fruition, she wanted to bring it to life, she wanted to give us a product that perfectly encapsulates everything that she thought of when she was creating this palette, and the Egyptian essence and the inspiration that came from Egypt itself and Cleopatra and everything And she brought it into something that I think visually is beautiful, and those who are a fan of Kat Von D or a fan of her artwork and a fan of her style will appreciate it and acknowledge that this is not something that is supposed to be travel friendly, guys. It isn't. Not everyone's gonna love this, and this isn't a palette for every day, and this isn't a palette that if you were stranded on a desert island and you needed one makeup palette to be able to do your whole face or your whole eye look, this isn't the palette for you. And it's kind of, I mean, it's a given when you're looking at these shades of eyeshadow. And, you know, people are saying, oh, she added a loose pigment and that added to the thickness of the palette. Okay, yeah, but give her credit for at least being innovative and adding a loose pigment into an eyeshadow palette. No one else has really done that before. Or, well, okay, maybe they have, but I, to my knowledge, don't remember many eyeshadow companies or makeup companies bringing out an eyeshadow palette and giving you a loose pigment in it. It's something innovative. She's pushing the box and she's pushing the boundaries. She's stepping outside of the box and she's giving us something we haven't seen before. People were complaining that this is not a standalone palette, that you cannot use this on its own. You need to have something else in conjunction with it that has more transition shades and crease shades and neutral shades. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. It is not a standalone palette, and you do need something to use in conjunction with it. However, how many neutral palettes do you need in your life? How many neutral eyeshadows do you need in your life? We all have our favorite transition shades, our favorite crease shades, our favorite neutral browns that we use in every eye look. Like, we've figured out a routine by now. We own enough neutral eyeshadows to last us a lifetime. I was happy that they didn't include those, I don't want to say boring, because neutrals are very useful. I know a lot of people, and this is a very polarizing topic, a lot of people hate that there are no neutral eyeshadows in here. I personally love it. It depends on what you already own in your collection. But I have enough neutral eyeshadows to last me till I'm 100 years old. May I live that long. I don't need any more. I personally don't need any more. So I found it nice and refreshing that there were none in this palette. Other people, I understand their frustration. But like I said, this was more of a work of art for her and more of a project to put something out that she was inspired to do than a neutral eyeshadow palette that everyone needs to love. This was something that she wanted to do. She was inspired. She had an inspiration. She had a vision. She had an idea, and she brought it to life. And those who like it will like it. Those who don't will not. And that's just my personal opinion on it. So for those of you saying this is not a travel-friendly palette, it wasn't intended to be a travel-friendly palette. Chances are the people buying this palette already own a lot of the other palettes that have come out. They probably already own her Shade Light Eye palette. You want neutral eyeshadows? Go buy this one. This one has all the ones you'll ever need. But if you want a really cool addition to your collection, the Serpentina palette is the way to go. Those are the only 2 points that I found annoying in the negative reviews about this palette. But there are very valid things that people don't like about this that I can see why people have, you know, returned it or didn't go ahead and buy it. The number one thing is fallout. These eyeshadows have a lot of fallout. They are very chunky. They're so pigmented and so soft that they crumble very easily, and you pick up a lot of product on your brush, so you really have to tap off the brush. But when you tap off the brush, because they're so soft, a lot of the pigment falls off. So it takes a while to build up the color if you're going slowly. When you're creating a smoky eye like I did today, it didn't take that long to build up Scarab, but I was very careful to not get fallout on the eye. So if you go quickly, you're going to get a lot of fallout. If you take your time with it, you're going to minimize the fallout you get. So it's really whether you have a lot of time to do your makeup or whether you're in a rush. If you're in a hurry, this isn't the palette to grab for or reach for, because there's lots and lots of fallout that you're going to have to clean up under your eyes and on your cheeks. But if you're careful like I was, the first time I had a lot of fallout. Today when I filmed this look, I had some fallout, but it was minimal compared to the first time, and it worked. It worked. It did what I wanted it to do. It has pigment to it, and it's rich in pigment, and that's what I love about her eyeshadows. My official thoughts on it are I would recommend buying it if you're like me and you already have a lot of neutral eyeshadows and you didn't want any more. I'm starting to not even buy neutral eyeshadows anymore. I buy a lot of colorful eyeshadows now because I have too many of them. So if you're like me and you're sick of neutral eyeshadows, buy this. If you don't mind not traveling with it, buy it. If you don't mind shimmery eyeshadows, buy it. If you like matte eyeshadows, don't buy it because the 2 mattes in here are not the greatest. it's really the shimmer eyeshadows that steal the show in this palette. And if you were intrigued on a loose pigment in an eyeshadow palette, that's also really nice too. And if you don't shy away from color, you should buy it. You know what? I take that back. Even if you shy away from color, these are such jewel tone eyeshadows that I find they're wearable. So I would say, all in all, this palette is a hit. I do like it, and I would recommend it for anyone. I can't guarantee you'll love it because everyone has different preferences when it comes to makeup, but I can almost guarantee that you will at least see why, you know, it's a good palette. It really is, and I feel like it's been so hated on, and it kind of makes me sad because I do see where she was going with it. Anyway, that was a long review, but the moral of the story is that I personally would say go ahead and purchase it if you were interested in it. And if you didn't like it, I'm sorry it didn't work out for you. For me, it did. So that's all I can go by, and that's all I can base it off of. So yeah, I hope this was kind of helpful. I hope I kind of got my points across and my thoughts across cohesively and, you know, laid out my points nicely. If you have any more questions on this palette, you can leave them down below in the comment section below. If you liked this video and if you agreed with some of the things I said, please give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, all of my links to all of my social media will be down below. I have Twitter, Instagram, I'm also on Snapchat, so follow me and add me on all of those platforms. And that is it for today's video. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. It's free. You'd be doing me a great big favor, and you get notified anytime I post a new video, including the tutorial on this look I'm wearing on my face right now. So if you're interested in that, just click that big red button and you would make my day. I love you all. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this video, wherever you are in the world. I hope it's a great one, and I will be seeing you guys in my next video. Love you. Bye, guys.